Hey everybody, it's Benny One, and I'm back at you with another movie review, and we're moving on in our DCEU trip through all the movies to get into the Snyder Cut. That's right, that's why I'm reviewing all these movies. The Snyder Cut comes out in March, so we are diving into 2017's Wonder Woman, everybody, that's right. Gal Gadot's big on-screen solo Wonder Woman movie after her appearance in Batman vs. Superman, everybody. That is correct. This is a period piece movie. It starts out with Diana in current times getting the picture that Lex found of her with Steve and the other guys from this movie, actually. Bruce sent her the original picture in the beginning of the movie, and then it goes back in time and she kind of tells her story, everybody. And it takes place during World War One, and she meets Steve Trevor and all that, and it's kind of the gist of the story. It's directed by Patty Jenkins, who does an amazing job directing this movie, you guys. Phenomenal job. I honestly, I never really heard of Patty Jenkins before this movie, and I was very impressed with what she did. And she also recently has brought to light that Warner Brothers did mess with this movie a little bit, because this was back when they were messing with them DC movies with Suicide Squad, and then this movie, and then Justice League, and then they finally woke the hell up and stopped doing that bullshit. So they got some people out of there that didn't need to be in there anymore. So, but yeah, she recently said that the studio messed with what they originally had planned in that third act of this movie with the CG bad villain, that they were the studio, you gotta let these people make these movies, and I'm glad they're finally doing that. So, but yeah, so this movie takes place, like I said, during World War One, period piece movie. We start out on Themyscira, showing Diana growing up and being trained, and shit like that, and then she's, Steve shows up in a plane. This movie, that's the thing, this movie is like Steve crashes in a plane, in Themyscira, and it's very comic book accurate, especially with like the Wonder Woman storylines over the past probably like 15 to 20-ish years, where she's basically sculpted from clay, which has kind of been her origin story the whole time since she's been around in all these years. But like Zeus got involved, and that was the later stuff in the comics, especially over the past 20 years. And then she's known as like the God Killer, the God Killer, which is a fairly newer thing in the comic books, especially over the past like 2 decades that they've done. So, and then we go to London, and that's one of the cool things about this movie is it's a big fish out of water type story, along with a comic book movie, and love story, and obviously action, and it's all done so well. Like, the plot and everything is put together so well. The movie's great. It's seriously great. The music is awesome. They kept that score that Hans Zimmer did for her. Awesome shit. But when they go to London, they go from Themyscira, where it's all bright colors and it's amazing looking, to London during World War One, where it's dark, it's dreary, it's miserable, just mucky ucky. Like, the Wonder Woman is even like, it's hideous. Like, she tells Steve it's hideous. And the movie has a lot of funny stuff in it because of the fish out of water type stuff, because she has never been in the world of man. So she's totally out of touch with everything, even in the early 1900s, when the movie takes place. So that kind of stuff is funny. It brings a little humor to the movie. And then we have great action. The frickin' No Man's Land scene, the No Man's Land from World War One, huge thing between the German military and the Allied forces during World War One, with the British, the Americans. That scene where she finally takes that fur coat thing that she's been wearing through most of the movie off and walks up the ladder, and she's in her Wonder Woman costume, like for the first time in the movie at least, because we've seen her in the Wonder Woman costume, and they lightened her costume up a little bit in this movie, so we got to see those colors pop a little bit more. But yeah, that scene is amazing. They did such a great job with it, and then it continued on to when they're going to rescue this little town village also. The scene where she's fighting all those German military guys inside of like a house in that little village. Awesome shit. Like great shit. It's just awesome. The first two acts of this movie are structured and just done. Well done. Everything's well acted. Chris Pine does an amazing job as Steve Trevor. Him and Wonder Woman's relationship, it's very believable, and it actually gets really sad like towards the end of the movie when you realize what Steve has to do to sacrifice himself to save shit tons of people. Like, it's really sad. It's sad shit. Like, and that's something that I'll talk about the second Wonder Woman when I get to reviewing it. So we got a few more movies to watch before I get there, but yeah, that whole part where Steve has to sacrifice himself, that shit is sad. It's really, really sad. That's probably the best part of that whole third act, because the third act does kind of fall into that formula of what Batman vs. Superman did, what Suicide Squad did, and then Wonder Woman kind of does it. I would say the third act in this movie, though, is probably my favorite of those three movies, where he Ares is actually, he is CG, but at first he's not. He's actually just a regular human at first, and then when he does get his CGI armor on and he actually looks like Ares, you still can see the actor underneath the helmet, the armor that he's wearing. So I mean, they did do a little better with that one, I guess, if you want to get all picky about the CG thing, but it did fall into that same formulaic, convoluted third act, big CGI boss villain fight. But otherwise, the movie is great. It's a great movie, a great freaking first introduction solo movie for Wonder Woman. It's awesome, and it leads us into Justice League, with at the end of the movie, Wonder Woman going back to England to basically come out and fight and help people. So, because she was staying hidden ever since then because of what happened, she just kind of stayed hidden and didn't really want to be out in the public, everybody. So, I thoroughly enjoy Wonder Woman. I think it's a great movie. It's one of the actual better movies in the DCEU. I put it up there with like Man of Steel as far as they're the best two in this. So I'm going to give Wonder Woman a freaking 9 out of 10, everybody. That is right. 9 out of 10 for Wonder Woman. And I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. And I will continue on, everybody. So, be catching you on Tube Laters because I have spoken.